Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for hustling back here. So our next session of speakers are three veterans in the cloud ecosystem. It does feel strange to say veterans, but after 4 years of knowing these folks, I do know that 4 years in this industry, I think, qualifies you as a veteran, especially considering all of the customers that they have worked with, talked with themselves. And so we've invited these three speakers to share with us what they see as the difference that the cloud is experiencing with its enterprise customers. For example, in 2008, when we first started doing cloud camps, most of the customers that I ran into were startups. And I think the reason why was because it was a no-brainer, really, for a startup to use the cloud when they didn't know how much compute they were going to need. Using the cloud gave them that flexibility to grow, and of course their VCs wanted that. With enterprises, I know that we did see enterprises at the time using cloud computing, but I think the buzz and the hype around the startups really overshadowed what they were doing. But I think it's undisputed that enterprises are looking at and using the cloud more than they were 4 years ago. So what I've asked each of our speakers to do is, of course, tell us a little of their story, what their experience has been, all with the idea of helping us gain some insights into what is actually different for enterprises in the cloud now versus 4 years ago. So with that, we have three speakers. We have Simone Brunozzi from Amazon. He's an evangelist. It's kind of funny. We were joking about how I've actually never seen him here in Silicon Valley, though we both live here. The last time I saw him was in Brazil, and the time before that was in India. So it's good to see you here in Silicon Valley. And the next speaker after that will be Michael Crandell. He's the founder and CEO at RightScale. I remember RightScale, a bunch of RightScale folks were at the very first cloud camp at the Microsoft office up in San Francisco. That's hard to imagine. That was 320 cloud camps ago. But at the time, the conversation was, what is cloud? And that might seem strange, but at the time, we weren't sure if it was, does it include platform as a service? Does it include software as a service? What about storage? Trying to figure out really who are the players, or what the technologies were in cloud. And then finally, George Reese. He's the founder and CTO at Enstratus. And George has been an early supporter of Cloud Camp as well. In fact, George and I took a trip down to Australia and New Zealand where we brought the cloud computing story there. Of course, it was there ahead of time, but I think we did a really good job of igniting the flames of the cloud. In fact, brought Cloud Camp to Ben Keeps down there, so thank you for that introduction. And Ben has been great in the Southern Hemisphere of evangelizing the cloud and now all over. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them. And if we have time at the end, we will take questions. We'll see how that goes. So, Simone?
Thanks. The clicker, yes. OK. Good morning, folks. Nice to be here. I moved here in the Silicon Valley just about 3 months ago. And before that, the reason why I met Dave or Michael everywhere in the world is because I used to travel a lot more. First in Europe, then in Asia, and then also in other parts of the world. But now finally I'm here, and it's nice to be here today and be able to talk about enterprise adoption for cloud computing. So I have a few examples. I don't want this to be a long talk, and I'm sorry to disappoint the ones that were waiting for a beautiful French lady with the name Simone. But unfortunately, I'm an Italian guy, and I'm Simone, so sorry to disappoint, but it's actually very useful on forums. When they see your name, they help you like nothing else. Anyway, so let's see if this one works. It should be this button here. Yes. So the first example, I use examples a lot. I like little stories. It makes things more interesting. Is a recent announcement by Nasdaq OMX. They launched something called the FinCloud. I assume I'm pronouncing it right. And FinCloud is based on Amazon Web Services. It's a secure cloud platform that they use to provide services, data services, to financial institutions and financial companies. And of course, it also needs to meet with regulations. It needs to be secure, etc. And in this case, Nasdaq decided to use Amazon Web Services because they liked the security, they liked the reliability, and also the efficiency and flexibility of using a cloud infrastructure. So this is one example of the, in the financial sector where people might ask, is the financial sector ready for enterprise adoption? Are enterprise customers using cloud computing? And this is a good example. Another example is Autodesk. So Autodesk recently announced that they're going to offer design software online. And this is another example of an enterprise customer that is now going all in the cloud because they believe this is the way to go. They believe that by using, I like the title of this article, the brute force computing revolution, by using this approach, they can provide a better service to their customers, and they believe that this is going to disrupt this specific market. Another example of an enterprise customer that is, in this case, offering computing services to their customers and now going to the cloud. Another example is Samsung. So being based in Asia until recently, I was hearing about Samsung a lot, especially in Asia. But as you know, Samsung is a global company. And Samsung recently launched something called the Smart Hub. Smart Hub is essentially a platform that runs on Amazon Web Services that allows Smart TV, which is the thing that you see here on this screenshot, and a few other applications to essentially deliver content, authentication, and other things to customers, to final customers. And of course, by doing this, they were able to launch globally from day one because in our case, Amazon Web Services has a global footprint, so we have data centers all around the world. And by doing this, they saved $34 million in CapEx. They reduced operational costs by 85%. But of course, cost savings in this case is not the only benefit that they gained from using the cloud. In fact, they were able to meet their SLAs, which is very important for services like this. And they were also able to gain from the flexibility and the agility of using a cloud computing infrastructure. Another example, this one you might know about it. It has been all over the news lately. So NASA is using Amazon Web Services a lot. It's using it for Mars rovers. It's using it for the Cassini probe. Cassini is a probe that is running in the space. And recently they took pictures of Saturn and some satellites, and they processed those pictures using Amazon Web Services. And just out of curiosity, Cassini was an Italian mathematician and astronomer born 200 years after Cristoforo Colombo, so same place, Genoa. Cristoforo Colombo, you might have heard this guy that came here like a while ago. So, and they're using it for other things, for MATLAB, for a robot called Athlete, which is an acronym, and I can't possibly remember the meaning of the acronym, and they're using it for many other things. So they are heavy users of Amazon Web Services. Another example is Shell. Of course, you know this company as well, a big global oil and gas company. And Shell started using Amazon Web Services back in 2010. And initially, of course, they did a lot of dev and test. And after a while, they were able to enable their foundation platforms on AWS. They call it AWS Ready. Essentially, this is how it works. Every team at Shell uses those foundation services, and they can decide if they want to run whatever workload they need to run, either on on-premises infrastructure or on Amazon Web Services. Another important factor that allows those big enterprise customers to adopt Amazon Web Services is that we have a very huge ecosystem of partners, ISVs or system integrators. We recently revamped the website, including new types of partnerships and some more content and some more functionalities. One of them is the AWS Marketplace, which allows companies to essentially resell services in the form of EC2 images, disk images. We call them AMI. And people can just go to the marketplace and say, looking for a Magento e-commerce instance. You can find one or more of those. You can pick the one you want and launch it in your AWS environment in a couple of clicks. So this is something that enables third-party companies, so the ecosystem around AWS, to deliver their services essentially seamlessly to our customers. So I'm a fan of motorbikes. I drive motorbikes myself. So whenever I think about protection or security, I like to think about the jacket. And there are a few things that I think make enterprise customers comfortable now in running workloads on Amazon Web Services or in cloud computing in general. First is the global scale, the fact that they can deploy infrastructure essentially anywhere in the world. The durability that we guarantee. One important thing to mention is that recently, for example, we launched a service called Glacier, which allows to store data at very inexpensive rates, 1 cent per gigabyte per month. And of course, this data enjoys the same durability as Amazon S3, which is 11 nines of durability. The ecosystem around AWS, so many ISVs and SIs that provide their services or their consultancy on top of AWS. Support, I actually love support. I've been in touch with the support team lately, and I've learned that they improved their metrics a lot recently. And many customers are now enjoying the benefits of using support. And this is a critical element in enterprise adoption. You want to be able to talk to AWS in this case if you have issues, questions, or other things. Security, of course, is #1 priority for us. So one example is the VPC, Virtual Private Cloud service that we provide, which essentially allows you to create a private section of the AWS cloud and decide how to access that section, create multiple sections, create different network topologies, and essentially replicate whatever security and whatever network configuration you want in the cloud. Of course, with an easy way to integrate this with on-premises environments. And then certifications, which is one of the best way for us to convince customers that we can support whatever security requirements or regulatory requirements they have. Last but not least, I decided to provide some data points. These might be useful to get a sense of how fast we're growing. So this is the number of objects stored on Amazon S3, which is one of our storage services. And on June 12, 2012, we announced that we were storing more than 1 trillion objects. So you can see the number of objects at the end of every quarter, every fourth quarter since 2006. So we came from 2.9 billion objects up to 762 at the end of last year, and then in June we surpassed the 1 trillion count. And interestingly, we are seeing peaks of more than 3.5 billion objects added per day on Amazon S3. Last but not least, we are having a conference in November called reInvent. It's in about 2 months on the 27th of November in Las Vegas. And this is probably a good opportunity to see and for partners to showcase what they're doing on Amazon Web Services. And Jeff Bezos is coming as well. So that's it. I wanted to make it very quick to let other speakers have their say. And you can follow me on Twitter. I'm Simon, or Simone@amazon.com. Thank you very much, and up to the next speaker now. Thanks.